We'll go to chapter 16, business ethics. So let's start getting started. It said, there have been growing concerns about the collection and use of personal data by businesses. It seems that a wide range of organizations are collecting personal data without the permission of individuals. So that alone is unethical. That means they are doing data harvesting. And when you talk about data harvesting, it means you are extracting information of customers from a website for other purpose. That's what data harvesting is. So this is not ethical because you don't seek the permission of customers or clients before you take their personal data for other purposes. So data harvesting, I just explained what it means. It's the act of extracting customers' information from the website for other purpose. That is what data harvesting is. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So the methods and purpose of data collection seems to be expanding all the time. For example, they might include WhatsApp sharing your name and phone number with Facebook to assist with targeted advertising, a device that uses your phone battery status as a fingerprint to track your online activities, and so on. All these are sort of data harvesting. Because we're talking about business ethics, it means these things are not supposed to occur, because ethics means the principle, the moral way of doing things, having to understand the rights and the wrongs of things in the course of you taking a decision. So that is all about data harvesting. I think data harvesting is clear. It's not called for, it's unethical, because you need to seek permission of customers or clients before you take their data for whatever purpose you need to use it for. And whatever purpose you choose to use it for, they need to know, they need to understand it. Don't tell them you want to use it for A, and at the end of it, you're using it for B. It is still unethical because you lied to them. I think that is clear. Is it clear, please?
Yes.
So we go to ethics now. Here they say ethics. In the context of business ethics, consider moral rights and wrong of a decision. For me, I said ethics are moral rules of behavior that should guide members or organizations on how to deal fairly and honestly with themselves and the stakeholders. The moral way to deal with people within the organization with honesty and fairness. Not just your members, not just your colleagues, also the stakeholders. And you know who the stakeholders are, those that have interest in the business. So the moral way of dealing with them is what we meant by ethics. Is ethics clear? Okay, good. Then, where we're going is business ethics. So for business ethics, here they said, every business should have a stated code of conduct. But before we go into code of conduct, what is business ethics? I wrote the moral principle that guide the way the business behaves. So when I talk about a business ethic, it's simply the moral way that guides how your firm, your company should behave in the course of its operations. That is what business ethics is. Is it clear? Yes. So for each business, they have what we call a code of conduct. And what's a code of conduct? I wrote, it's a policy that outlines principles and standards that all employees and third parties acting on behalf of the company must follow. So there's a policy that states how you must act when you are representing that company, how you must behave when you are representing that company, the moral way you have to behave, the moral way you have to act on behalf of the company or whoever is representing the company. That is what a code of conduct is. So each schools, each organizations, they have their code of conduct. So in as much as you are a member of that staff, you are working with that, you are an employee of that organization, there must be a way you have to behave when you are acting on their behalf. This will be in the policy, which we call the code of conduct. Is that clear?
Yes. So
then we go again. Yeah, they said, I've explained what business ethics is, right? Right? Yes. So we go to, now they said, every business should have stated code of conduct, which I explained already. Scrolling down, it is one for business to manufacture makeup. Before we go into the examples of code of conduct, for each business, they have to take what we call ethical decision. And when you talk about ethical decisions, I wrote, this is a decision which considers what is morally right or wrong. So we started with what ethics is. And when we talk about ethics, because it is in the context of a business, it has to be business ethics. And because it is the context of business ethics, we have to talk about ethical decisions, because it is based on decisions companies will take that will make us to think about them being ethical or not ethical. Do you understand? Businesses have to strategize, and in the course of strategizing, they are thinking about the long-term plan of the business, the long-term plan of the organization. In the course of doing this, they have to take decisions. So those decisions they take, which are right, which have to be based on what is right or wrong, is what we call ethical decision. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Then I wrote, I think ethical decision is clear, right? It's clear, right?
Yes.
Is it clear? Okay. So then we'll go down to ethics of strategic decisions now. Ethics of strategic decisions. Okay, ethics of strategic decisions. What are strategic decisions? Decisions that affect how a business will behave in the long term. Because strategies are not for now. For now, you think about tactics. But if it's about long-term plan of an organization, it has to be what? A strategy. Are you with me, please?
Yes.
So yeah, I got strategic decisions are those that affect how a business operates in the long term. There are different strategic decisions a business must consider ethically, and they are as follows. So as a firm, you have to take strategic decisions, and those decisions you are going to take strategically would mean that your operations must, in the course of you taking decisions about your operations, it must cut across the society. Please, are you here?
Yes.
It must cut across the society. So here I said, there are different strategic decisions a business must consider ethically. They are as follows. One, the environment. So what strategic decision a business has to take based on the environment? Here I wrote, the business must decide either to take stricter measures to protect the environment or not. Either way, there's an economic cost. For the environment, businesses have to take decision on either to protect the environment or not to protect the environment. But either ways, they're going to take decision. So whatever decision they take, there's an economic cost. How? If the business is taking a decision not to care about pollution, because there are laws that governs or that guide how companies emit carbon, which is this.
I saw I'm listening. Just to go.
There are different ways in which businesses emit. There are different. I'm talking about decision through the environment. So businesses would think about a strategic decision on how to protect the environment. They think about it or not think about it. There's always an economic cost. If businesses take stricter decisions regarding protecting the environment, it will come at a cost. And the cost will be that it will increase their production cost and at the same time lower their profits. That is taking ethical stance on protecting the environment. And if they don't, they feel, oh, it's a cost for them. They don't care about the environment. They continue to pollute air. They continue to pollute the environment. They might be fined or sanctioned by government, which means they will pay also for that. So that is what we talk. Well, that's what we're talking about: strategic ethical decisions about the environment. So it's all about protecting the environment. So businesses must ensure that they are able to protect the environment. If they don't, they will be sanctioned. And if they do, they will incur more cost, which might lower their profits. That's why they have to take a strategic decision regarding the environment. 2, animal rights. So for animal rights, here I wrote, these are decisions about wildlife conservation. It affects pharmaceutical companies, which might want to use animals to test products like medicines, or farming, which might destroy forest or other habitats. So for animal rights here, we're talking about, this is basically for pharmaceutical companies and farmers, which their own activities for the farmers, their activities might destroy farms, habitats, and even make animals to go into extinction. Then for pharmacists, pharmaceutical companies, they might make drugs or medicines, and they want to test run it on animals.
Mhm.
These are considered as unethical. That's about animal rights. I think it's clear.
Yes.
The third one, workers in developing countries. Why do they mention developing countries? Because in developed economies or developed countries, you wouldn't see workers' exploitation. You won't be able to exploit workers. You won't be able to cheat workers because there are different laws that have to be, that businesses must follow.
Mhm.
So it's an ethical stance for them. There's no hidden place for companies or businesses in the developed economy. So they go in line with the labor laws and the rest. But for developing economies, mostly they exploit workers. So here I go. There's an ethical stance on the extent at which low costs should be at the expense of workers. It is unethical to exploit workers. So businesses, companies in developing economies, they feel it is expensive to continue to keep hold of workers. So they see workers, employees as cost. And as a result of that, they want to minimize it as much as possible. Do you understand? So it is unethical to exploit workers. That is the point here. So businesses have to take strategic decisions regarding exploitation of workers. Is it clear?
Yes.
The fourth one, corruption. And when you talk about corruption, it's basically bribery. And when you talk about bribery, it means you are paying someone to be able to influence your decision on him or her. So you want them to do something for you, you are paying them so that they get it done. That is corruption, which is unethical. So businesses should think about that when they are taking strategic decisions. That's about corruption. Then we have new technologies. Technology is not a problem because technology makes life becomes easier. But how do we develop? Please put your mind there.
Yeah.
How do we develop technology? That is the point. The development of technologies might pose different dangers, like what they talked about here, like the nuclear power generation. All these things could pose a threat to humanity. So technology is not the problem, but how to develop technology might be a threat to human life. That is what they are talking about. So businesses have to take strategic decisions to understand the kind of tech development they have to make in terms of technology. Is it clear?
Yes.
The second to the last one is product availability. When we talk about product availability, we're talking about consumers' right here. Customers might be able to get whatever products they want at any given point in time at affordable prices. So here I wrote, product availability. The choice businesses make on products are ethical issues, especially if the product is a need. So what we're saying is this: some products, businesses do not make them available because of how important they are. So they want to make sure it is scarce so that customers can pay exorbitant prices on them. So this is unethical. Not for luxury. Yeah, the prices of luxury can be expensive, it can be high. You can raise it. But when it comes to things that are for the average people, that you know it's important to their livelihood, you must make them available at an affordable price. That is an ethical stand. Do you understand ethical stands here about product availability, strategic or decision?
Yeah.
And the last one is trading issues. When talking about trading issues, here it's basically how companies have to deal with other companies in other countries. Do you understand? So here I wrote, it is unethical to trade with countries that have trade embargoes or sanctions. Like the United Nations might sanction some countries, the World Trade Organization might sanction some companies in some countries. So these countries are no-go area. You must not deal with them. You must not trade with them. If you do, you might also be sanctioned because it is unethical to trade with countries or companies that have embargo. Basically, a ban.
That they're not allowed to trade.
To trade, yeah. That's an embargo.
Why is it imposed?
Yeah, it would have been that country is a threat to humanity.
Oh.
Like the war around now. Like, oh, the United Nations or the European Union is sanctioning Russia. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So these are what we call embargo. So companies will not be able to deal with them. Like I think Netflix was shut down in Russia, right?
Yeah.
So that's an embargo.
So what happens if you deal with that?
your company might be sanctioned too because it's unethical. Is it clear? By Alexander? Yes, sir.